Welcome to Battle Lines Journal, your guide keeping the pulse of war. Please remember to like the video and leave a comment. While ceasefire negotiations continue in Cairo, Israeli forces are working on a ground assault strategy towards Rafah, near the Egypt border. Despite increased security along the Egypt border, Israel seems determined to enter Rafah during the Ramadan month. However, Cairo and other countries worldwide warn of a significant humanitarian crisis if Israel launches a ground operation into Rafah. This humanitarian crisis is expected to have a significant impact on the Egyptian economy and could affect approximately 1.4 million Palestinians living in Rafah. Experts suggest that Egypt's already serious economic crisis could worsen further with increased tensions due to Israel's conflict in Gaza and escalating tensions in the Red Sea. Egypt's economy faces challenges such as public debt surpassing 90% of the GDP, capital flight, and depreciation of the currency against the US dollar. Currently, it is estimated that most residents of Gaza, already displaced for 4 months, will have to move to Rafah due to Israeli strategies for advancing towards the Egypt border. However, there is significant division among the Egyptian population. Egyptians believe that protests against severing ties between Sinai and Rafah are the most influential. Individuals strongly oppose restricting or halting aid from Rafah to Gaza. However, there are also significant criticisms of the current economic situation, with large protests erupting. With a population of 600,000, the Sinai Peninsula and the bustling capital Cairo are currently at a standstill. Citizens in Cairo and other cities express concerns about being in a severe economic crisis, and many take to the streets due to the looming disaster from Israel's targeting of Rafah. The Cairo government and Egyptian citizens are deeply concerned about Palestinians fleeing the destruction by Israel in Gaza seeking refuge in the Sinai Desert under the administration of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. However, Sisi faces resistance from certain segments of the population. With 9 million refugees currently in Egypt, and Cairo emphasizing it will not support any action that leads to the permanent displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. Many experts worry that this is part of Israel's strategic move. Security concerns, including the presence of Hamas-armed elements in Sinai and the impact of planned attacks on relations between Israel and Cairo, are crucial factors for Egypt. Economic challenges also contribute to Egypt seeing forced migration of Palestinians from Gaza as a negligible violation. Another border security crisis that concerns Egyptian authorities is in Sudan, where there is complete chaos. Sudan seems to be a source of concern everywhere in Egypt at the moment. What role do you think the U.S. plays in these matters? Since October, Egyptian diplomacy has played a critical role in ceasefire negotiations, attempted hostage exchanges, and tried to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza. Therefore, the Biden administration increasingly sees Egypt as an important player. Particularly, Biden and his team refrain from commenting on the human rights records of the Sisi government, a sharp departure from Biden's rhetoric as a presidential candidate. The White House is aware of Cairo's concerns, and Biden's stance prioritizes the security of Palestinians in Rafah before Israel launches a major attack. However, Egypt remains disappointed in Washington's reluctance to use its influence to change Israel's actions on the ground. A former U.S. diplomat in Cairo, Charles Dunn, noted that U.S. support for Egypt on these issues is limited to opposing all refugee transfers, voluntary or mandatory, in the long or short term. Charles Dunn also indicated informal resistance to potential major population transfers in Israel. If Israel were to launch a full-scale attack on Rafah and Palestinians were to move in large numbers to Egypt, experts suggest that Washington would likely provide financial assistance to Cairo. However, it is believed that the White House prioritizes preventing such a scenario and pressuring Israel to maximize coordination with Cairo. Cairo is concerned that any sign of independent emergency planning in this situation may be perceived as approval by the Israeli Defense Forces. Egypt may not suffer significantly from Israel's plans in this situation, but the Red Sea issue remains critical in the region. The security crisis in the Red Sea, in the context of the Gaza conflict and its regional impact, is an important factor in U.S.-Egypt relations. Since November, Houthis have been launching missiles and drones at ships off the coast of Yemen, claiming they are targeting vessels associated with Israel. The US and UK claim that Suez Canal revenue has decreased by 40% to 50% due to the crisis, as stated by Sisi. Gordon Gray, a former US ambassador to Tunisia, emphasized the importance of securing Suez Canal fees during Houthi naval attacks, stating that ensuring freedom of the seas is a common interest. Despite economic turmoil, Egypt has not officially participated in the operation, and Cairo has not officially supported the bombing campaign led by the UK that began 2 months ago. However, this does not mean that Egypt does not share concerns about Western concerns about Houthi attacks on ships. Instead, Egypt and the US are strongly committed to not impeding maritime traffic in the region. During the Operation Decisive Storm launched by Saudi Arabia in March 2015, Egypt sent naval forces to ensure security in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. During this time, Sisi referred to the Red Sea as an Arab lake and emphasized the importance of the bombing map for Egypt and Arab national security. According to public opinion in the country, Egypt does not join the APPG and does not officially support the hammer. Given the role of the US in Gaza's destruction and its increasing isolation in the Arab world, the alliance between the US and Egypt is quite strong. Cairo must manage this relationship carefully.